chosen by the final boss side. Or maybe not. The final boss side looks like they want to play Lijiang Tower, but the admins, the staff, forgot the own rules of the tournament and didn't realize that Chicken Nugget Fan Club was allowed to ban. So, yeah, we did see the final boss team want to take it to Lijiang there. I think I agree with that decision. That they look like possibly a stronger dry fight and general team fight team. Except for that, obviously, that Okami is much worse than Chicken Nugget Fan Clubs. But it looks like I think they could win those dry fights and team fights that you see on Control.
Well, that and Control often comes down to, you know, really close, packed matches where they can really push their man advantage to as much as they can get. No fancy maneuvering or tactics can get you out from the fact that eventually you are just going to have to hit them on the point.
Yeah, so we see Lijiang Tower being picked up. Final boss team picking the map as Chicken Nugget Fan Club banned the pool. So I do like the Lijiang pick for final boss. I think they are going to be stronger on this map than they are on Payload map, for example. Looks like we're seeing generally the same comps picked up for both sides. Definitely the final boss side looking like they have a bread and butter formulated game on the D.Va, Marksman, the Tracer, Brent, Lucio, Critics on the Zenyatta, Temu.
I think that's a very smart decision from them. D.Va can definitely carry both jobs on the tank there, the initiation and the peel. The real concern, though, is if GameSmart is paying attention to a counter dive, which it doesn't look like the opposing team's going to be doing, but it does show some weaknesses maybe that they'll be able to exploit. If they do end up running the Widowmaker, which it looks like they might be taking quite seriously, then Widowmaker is going to present a serious threat for the final boss, because D.Va's just going to be so distracted. Oh, no, it looks like they're switching off, going for double hit scan instead.
Double hit scan, solo healer Lucio with a Ryan D.Va tank. Interesting decision, running a Pharah, especially with that Mercy as well. Effective on this map, but possibly the Mercy bucket would be needed as the fight opens up. One playing very aggressively here, trying to trash that back and trying to get on to Createx on that Zen, but he dies to GameSmart's team in Pixel spawning. Marksman, the Pharah, shuts down Bells, beating the hit scan at what he's supposed to be beating her at, as he also forces down Rook. Hoodie takes against out of mech, and Carpster finished off Createx. Brent finished off Carpster, Marksman finished off Hoodie, and this fight is all final boss. Spawny the only one left, and he picks off Temu. Spawny
I
doing
don't
more
think
than he
it's
should
worth
be
it,
able
though,
to.
because if you look, he's staggered himself now, and the team's going to have to wait for him to come back.
To be lost virtually as the Genji comes running back, Temu back in that fight.
Really, as soon as the point gets captured, you just gotta get out of there, whether it's back to the spawn room or back to your team.
What a boom, Marksman! Knocks off.
Oh, but Brett falls off himself,
Brent,
so it's even.
It's
in
even, and
defender.
because of the natural mana advantage to be having a 5v6 matchup, Chicken Nugget Fan Club have that mana advantage, but not anymore as Marksman shuts down Carpster, winning that Pharah duel. As the final boss just sit pretty on point. Chicken Nugget Fan Club now going to be pushing in behind that Ryan Shield Rook, trying to get his team to
One's not with them. They lost a lot of their mobility there and got counter-initiated by the final boss.
The final boss is Marksman with a Pharah ultimate onto Bowers. He gets trapped there and shut down as Brent and GameSmart get their kills onto one and Rook as Hoodie's forced out by Temu as well.
They're really not making effective use of their time here. They're really staggering themselves and they're just not grouping together. A lot of their discipline seems to be really gone. They just, look at them, they're just getting picked off one by one.
Yep. Carpster and Vals both dying as one plays aggressively on that safe side, not going over the bridge, possibly throwing
what was that about Roadhog in 2020? It appears they've
Roadhog
actually switched to the Roadhog.
Off of the Reinhardt, possibly to counter D.Va. Roadhog kind of can counter D.Va, he can hook through the DM. But then, obviously, D.Va can counter Roadhog through being able to defense matrix his hooks once they are actually hooked in.
I would say the equation is definitely more in D.Va's favor here, but actually I think they're playing a little smarter than we're giving them credit for. I mentioned earlier that D.Va can definitely do the peel and initiation. I think what they're running here is a very peel-focused team to try and deal with the Pharah Genji.
I'm cooking.
And we just saw GameSpot pick up 2 kills with his D.Va Bomber, and Temu get 2 kills with his Dragonblade. Carpster kills himself. As Spawny really only getting the kill onto Greatex, and the point is 1-2-0. The final boss team taking the first round of Lijiang Tower, winning the Garden phase, as it looks like going to be going on to the control center for the next map.
I gotta question what Chicken Nugget Fan Club were doing that whole game. They honestly wasted a lot of time. If they only got what, 1 or 2 engages in, really? I'll be really interested to see if they get their mojo back on the control point now, though.
It possibly might favor them that this point is chosen second, because obviously this is a weaker point for Pharah, which Marksman was decimating them on before. However, it looks like both teams switching off probably their comfort pick of Pharah. So possibly this might favor Chicken Nugget Fan Club as they were being decimated by that Pharah.
I don't know. Putting Marksman onto Tracer again is a bit of a dangerous game. It could go either way.
And we see the Chicken Nugget Fan Club going for the dive, actually being aggressive like they need to, and it's going very well. Carpster picks up Marksman, winning that Tracer 1-1 as Hoodie picks off Brent.
Looks like the switch to Tracer is definitely paying off for the Chicken Nugget Fan Club.
Carpster picks up Timu, and Rook picks off Greatex. A complete change in pace for the Chicken Nugget Fan Club, going much more aggressive, diving into the other team.
This is really what they needed in their last round, that kind of aggression, that really good sense of dive that they just didn't seem to have before.
Looks like Rook has probably changed something on the Winston. Maybe someone's told him what to do and he's going to be going hyper-aggressive now into the enemy team, into the final boss side. Another final boss pushing onto this point. Team are going very aggressively, and look at Rook again, right in that backline, tickling Zenyatta, tickling Kratos, trying to burn him down. He is rather low, is forced to back out by Marksman, and Marksman does shut him down, picking off Rook, and Kratos picks off Carpster as well. And this aggressive drive is instantly countered. Marksman quickly switching to that Kratos will probably shut down Carpster's Tracer as Timu shuts down Bells.
Without Rook, it's just so easy to clean them all up. He's really the pin holding them all together. He definitely played too aggressive there, going forward without his D.Va to keep him alive.
You see Kratos using the Transcendence, possibly a wasted out there. Not keeping them alive from only Carpster and Rook as they perform a very, very advanced contest. Carpster using the Pulse Bomb as well. They're trickling them one by one, the Chicken Nugget Fan Club, as they use the Transcendence to try and contest this point more and more. Looks like they're trying to be able to regroup as Hoodie, Spawny, and Valve at this point. Timu forced to use the Blade.
Well, it looks like that's what Timu exactly what he was waiting for. But if you notice, Marksman's also used his ult, which means they're desperately short on offensive ultimates here. All they've got is the zoning from GameSmart and the stalling from Brent, especially since they used the Transcendence earlier as well.
Something unfortunate we saw Timu use his blade to probably counteract Spawny's tactical visor, possibly stop him from being able to use the ult, but Spawny was actually killed during the animation of casting it, so he still has that available. Carpster making the engage, going more aggressive than his Winston, in fact. Shuts down Createch, but dives himself to GameSmart. Spawny wins the hit scandal against Marksman. The Winston diving in, the D.Va bomb comes out, trying to harass the backline, trying to shut someone down, but GameSmart can't get anything with that. Now Spawny using that tactical visor, trying to take advantage of the small amount of time you get when the D.Va bomb pops. He can't get anything with those.
And there we go. They just can't get a grip back again because they burned all their ultimates and, of course, lost a player early on, but they didn't have anything to get back with. So, naturally, the Chicken Nugget Fan Club just takes the point.
Did see some pretty good grade from Chicken Nugget Fan Club extending that contest. They did use a Pulse Bomb and a Transcendence to hold that contest, but they baited out more ults than they used, which means, you know, it was an effective play for them. Probably not the play I would have gone for, but it did actually work as Carpster now gets stunned by Martin McCree, but he does somehow escape. The Tracer just avoiding death there.
Intentionally or otherwise, it really does look like they're exploiting their inability to hold on to their ults.
As Marksman doesn't hold out to that long for Honest, he shuts down Spawny. They behind him, he dies himself to Rook as Rook picks up another onto Createx. Now the Dragon becomes Timu, he picks up 2. Carpster and Val's both going down. He's trying to get more. The Estonian getting so many frags here, 3 kills, and he's turned this fight all the way around. The final boss being put in favor by this Genji's. Hoodie does force GameSmart back, and now Spawny is back. This hit's going to be doing so much well the entire tournament, and he does pick off GameSmart as well. Spawny with another, picks off Timu. D.Va bomb comes out, can't get anything from Hoodie, but somehow, despite the 3-man Dragon Blade, they could turn this fight around. Carpster with a pop, picks up Brent. Kratex moves on to the Tracer to try and contest, but he gets shut down by Carpster. Hoodie picks off Marksman, and despite the 3-man Dragon Blade, Timu, his best efforts, can't do enough against the Chicken Nugget Fan Club. The man advantage coming into play there. We go 1-1 Lijiang Tower.
I gotta say, it's the ultimate. It's the long game, you know. the final boss. They're definitely winning in the short term. They're doing pretty good, you know, they're getting good initiations off, but they're just using too many ultimates. And then, you know, when push comes to shove and it turns out the other team's got more ultimates, they really need to be much more careful, especially since they've only got 5 ultimates. And the Chicken Nugget fan club is always going to have 6 ultimates charging at any time. But they're really swapping around their comp now. I'm interested to see where they go with this.
Teemo going on to the Reaper, Marksman going on to the Genji, Kratos going on to the Ana from Zenyatta, and Gainsel picking up the Reinhardt instead of the D.Va. Might lower some of their zoning power for the Ana. I'm not sure if I agree with this comp switch. It actually
I've got to agree with you there. The Rein switch is definitely questionable, especially when Reaper and Genji aren't getting anything out of it, and the enemy team is happy to just walk right through his shield.
And he picks off, and Rook optimizes his play there, picks off.
Credit to them, the Genji and the Reaper is definitely working well, and there we go, that's the discipline there, just jumping right off. Not sure if I agree with it, you probably could have stalled for a little more time, but that's not really that important.
Yeah, we saw Val Zenyatta pick off, I believe, 3 kills in that fight. The real Vals, getting so many kills there. Really doing well to shut out the enemy team, shut out the final boss in that fight. Now Brent speeding games.
Looks like that could have been an intelligent baiting tactic, but not quite. Teemo might still take out Hoodie though at the back.
Yeah, Hoodie gets baited in by that speed boost, and he gets his mech forced out by Teemo as well as Mark's picking up cops. They're Brent picking off one team with a kill onto Hoodie's baby form.
And Reinhardt just gets picked off again. It's really questionable. I'm wondering if they're going to switch back to the D.Va or maybe even to a Winston.
But despite looking to win this fight, Spawny's doing so much work to the point he's still alive, and Rook is only slept. Spawny is native, he's still alive. Carpenter picks off Brent, and as Rook picks off Kratos, I thought that fight was all final boss. They had an amazing dive, they baited in the other players, they picked off Bowers, they picked off Hoodie, they picked off one. They had a 3v4, I believe, and they threw it away. Spawny doing so much work, and his tactical visor is...
they've switched back to Azaria, and it looks like they've got... no, Winston again. They're really not sure what to do with that tank slot, but it does indeed look like they've got a Nanoblader coming, and there he goes. No, just the blade.
Marksman uses the blade, and they said Nano the Winston.
Intentional?
Looks like it was intentional. Kratos actually looked away from the Genji player as he choked out the Nano, and they don't get much from it at all. Marksman only really getting 1 kill with his blade, but he doesn't need the blades. He shuts down 1 on that Lucian. Now Teemo using his death pulse, but he can't get anything from it. No, he does. He kills off Vals, but during... He does get DM'd by Hoodie as Spawny uses tactical visor, picks off Gratex. Hoodie picks off Teemo, and now a Pulse Bomb! Pulse Bomb! Carpenter picks off 2! Marksman and Brent go down as Hoodie...
And can we just take a moment to compare the ult usage there? I know I'm really beating this dead horse here, but honestly, if the Chicken Nugget fan club win, it'll be because they had better usage of ultimates. They didn't get...
Go on. 1 kill with his blade. Marksman got 1 kill with his blade, the Nano did nothing. The Death Blossom got 1 at the end of it, being DM'd the entire way. And then we saw Carpenter getting a 2-man Pulse Bomb, Spawny being able to zone the D.Va away and get a kill with his tactical visor, and Hoodie finishing off GameSpot with his D.Va bomb.
Yeah, so you just compare the value. They get 3 kills out of 2 ults, whereas the final boss, they have to use more than half of their ultimates just to get 2 kills out of the enemy team. It's really not in a good position for them, and they need to sort out whatever it is that they're doing. Otherwise, they're just gonna lose the long game.
Looks at the solution is return to guard and return to that farmhouse. It was so brutal and won on that first map. Marksman on the Pharah, Kratex on the Mercy as the rest of the team stays on what they were before. Chicken Nugget flanks off, retaining their comfort what it was before as well. We're seeing the fight opening up here. The divers going very aggressively into the final boss side. And it's very effective. Kratex and Brent, both supports taken down by Carpenter's one. The DPS doing so much work as Spawny shuts down Marksman's Pharah, and this is a complete change of pace from what we saw on the original Garden map. The Farm Mercy tore them up on the first map, but now they're tearing the Farm Mercy up. Both supports died within seconds of that fight starting.
They're really suffering from the lack of a tank here. Winston alone just isn't that effective of holding the attention of the DPS, so they're perfectly ready to tear into Marksman and Teemo.
I'd like to see them go back to this D.Va. I think Game's D.Va is the correct pick here. I don't think that he's going to get work done on Zarya, Winston, Reinhardt, or Orisa, in fact. And with the Chicken Nugget fan club being 1-0 up in terms of maps, and them having a 2-1 lead on this point. If they win this point, they win the game. They win the final boss. They beat it.
This really is the match point right here. And if the final boss can't get a grip on them and just really figure out what they're doing, then they are just gonna lose this. But if you look, the Winston's really out of position in the backline.
We did see him. Did we see the Rook pick off GameSmart's Winston?
But the final boss just didn't punish him. He just took a Mercy right out of the way. It didn't even matter.
We did see actually Teemo get 2 kills on the Genji there as Brent picks up 2 as well. Despite Rook picking off GameSmart at the beginning of that fight, them losing their main tank and going in 4v6, it looks like possibly the Chicken Nugget fan will be losing this fight. Teemo, a questionable blade, possibly to close out the fight, but the B drop is definitely not necessary. So Teemo tries to close the fight with a Dragon Blade, and Brent uses a questionable beat drop.
I gotta say, Brent is definitely off doing his own thing. It's not the first time I've seen him going for kills instead of protecting his fellow supports. You might think it's just Pharah's job to keep Mercy alive, but really the supports have to depend on each other, and if Brent's off getting kills, getting sick boops, he's actually just hurting his team in the long run. Because without their Mercy, they really don't have the sustain.
And if we look at the ult situation, Spawny being very close to Tactical Visor, One and Val's both having their defensive ults as the only ults for the final boss are Kratos' Res and Marksman's Barrage, and what a wonderful dive from what we've seen tons of those this game, and he takes out Teemo. Marksman does get Val's out with his Barrage, but Spawny picks off Kratos. Spawny with another onto GameSmart. Marksman though does shut that soldier player down, trying to even the fire out for the final boss, but he's really the only one on this point trying to solo carry his team, and he can't go, but he kills himself. And it's honorable Seppuku. Teemo does get on the point, trying to stop it from capturing it. The Genji trying to contest. Looks like Chicken Nugget fan club will secure, and Kratos, an interesting Mercy play here. The original Scrub living up to his name. Jumping off the edge and missing his Guardian Angel completely. And now the Chicken Nugget fan club 83 to 46, seeming to be in right ahead in this game.
And they're just not getting value out of that Zarya. They've been confused about what their tank choices was this entire game, and they just really haven't been able to figure it out.
And we saw GameSpot with a lovely shield to just block off Pulse Bomb onto Brent, but he gets booted by Hoodie. As Hoodie picks another one on Kratos. Spawny with a 2-man visor shot on Brent and Marksman. As this overtime sticking forward, the final boss has been defeated. The EU champions, and now the winners of the final boss, Chicken Nugget Fan Club, also known as Smart Gamers, One, Spawny, Carpster, Rook, Hoodie, and Vals, are your final boss champions.
And congratulations to them for playing very well, not just in this match, but across the whole tournament.
Look at Hoodie here, moves off GameSmart. And look how much presence they had on the backline this entire game.
It's the same thing like I was saying with Brent earlier. Without Brent there just to impose order on the backline, you know, the Chicken Nugget Fan Club were free to just do whatever they wanted. And they pushed that to the max, clearly.